Today's episode lesson tells us every day the priests stand and do their religious service. Again and again, they offer the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins. But Christ offered only one sacrifice for sin. And the sacrifice is good for all time. Then, with one sacrifice, Christ made his people perfect forever. They are the ones who are being made holy. My beloved Grace United Methodist sisters and brothers, this morning, before thinking of what Jesus once sacrificed for all means, I want to start my sermon with a tragic story from a movie which was released in 2008. This movie's title is The Boy in the Street Pajamas, based on 2006 novel of the same name by John Boyne. This movie's setting is the Holocaust in the World War II. There are two main characters who are 8-year-old boys. Bruno, one of the main characters, is living in Berlin in Nazi Germany during World War II. His father, German soldier, gets promoted and relocates the family to the countryside. Living without neighbors, far from any town and any city, and with no friends to play with, Bruno becomes lonely and bored. After spotting people working on what he thinks is a farm, actually a concentration camp, he is forbidden from playing in back garden. Bruno sneaks into the woods, arriving at a barbed wire fence surrounding the camp. He makes friends with a boy named Shmuel, the other main character. And they have no idea about what the camp's true nature is. Bruno thinks the striped uniforms that Shmuel and the other prisoners wear are pajamas. And Shmuel believes his grandparents died from an illness on the journey to the camp, even though they were killed by the German soldiers. Bruno meets Shmuel regularly, sneaking him food and playing board games. He learns Shmuel is a Jew brought to the camp with his parents. Bruno's mother discovers the black smoke coming from the camp's chimneys is from burning bodies, and she is shocked. One day, Bruno sees Shmuel working in his home and offers him cake. When a soldier finds Bruno and Shmuel socializing, he berates Shmuel and notices him eating. Shmuel tells him that Bruno offered the cake, which Bruno denies as he is afraid. The soldier tells Shmuel they will have a little chat later. Bruno tries to apologize to Shmuel later, but he's gone. Afterwards, Bruno sneakily sees his fathers and other soldiers watching a fake film of camp prisoners, playing games, having meals in cafes, and attending concerts. Bruno, thinking it is real, hugs his father. Bruno returns to the fence every day. And eventually, Shmuel reappears with black eye from the soldier's little chat. Bruno apologizes and Shmuel forgives him, renewing their friendship. Bruno's father tells Bruno and his sister his mother is taking them to live with family where it is safer. In actual fact, Bruno's mom does not want to live in the vicinity of the prison camp. Bruno visits Shmuel before he leaves and learns that Shmuel's father has disappeared after being transferred to a different work gang. Bruno decides to redeem himself by helping Shmuel find his father. Shmuel provides Bruno with a prisoner's striped outfit and a cap to cover his unshaven head. And Bruno digs under the fence to join Shmuel. He is shocked to see the many sick and frail Jews there in the camp. The boys search for Shmuel's father in one of the huts. But suddenly, soldiers appear and everyone in the hut is taken to a large changing room. Back at the Bruno's house, Bruno's mom and sister discover Bruno's disappearance from the house. And his father and his men mount a search, with his mom and sister following. A dog tracks Bruno's scent to his discarded clothing outside the fence. And Bruno's father enters the camp. Meanwhile, Bruno, Shmuel, and the other inmates are told to remove their clothes in preparation for a shower. They are packed into a gas chamber, and the lights go out. Bruno and Shmuel hold hands to comfort one another. As the soldier pours poisonous gas inside the dark chamber, the prisoners begin to panic. Bruno's father sees a guessing is taking place, and realizing what has happened, he cries out his son's name in despair. At the fence, Bruno's mom and sister hear his cries and fall to their knees, wailing. The film ends with the closed door of the now silent guest chamber, indicating that all the prisoners, including Bruno and Shmuel, had died. In today's epistle lesson, the author, who is supposed as Apostle Paul, has applied the image of Jesus as high priest who made people perfect forever with one sacrifice. All the people who need for salvation has been accomplished. The emphasis is on completeness. Nothing is missing. There is no need for an additional mediator. We don't need a priest as a broker before God. Nothing needs repeating for our salvation, because Jesus completed our salvation with his one-time sacrifice. What a wondrous grace this is. What a goodness this is, isn't it? God's grace and compassion is totally sufficient. Love is there for all of us, once and for all. We can affirm God's compassion is enough. We can affirm Jesus poured out his life in compassion for all of humankind. This means God poured out God's life for all in the church, in ancient Israel, in many and various ways throughout the world and throughout history, where God has been before and beyond us. We know Jesus' sacrifice is not for any special people, any special nation, any special race, any special reason, but for all the people, regardless of reason, race, nation, which they belong to. In other words, all people deserve to live as beings saved as the result of Jesus' sacrifice. Whoever they are, wherever they are, whatever they are. Even though we live within the age of grace, we are also living in the world that we agree to the phrase, murder is truth every day. We live in the world in which we try to differentiate ourselves from others for many reasons. Different economic status, different races, different political biases, like Bruno and Shmuel. And so many people are victimized from the false faith, false justice, false theology people make for the sake of their interest, not for the grace of God. The understanding of the meaning of once and for all may mean we, as Christians, take responsibility for the world by seeing beyond what people in the world see and understand. We need and want to share the life and passion of God in the world. We should listen across the cultural divide which separates its world and ours. We should sense it is very much about the totality of divine love and the rejection of the power mongering of those who want to set themselves and their systems up as a form of control between us and God. This morning, as Grace United Methodist Christians who are saved from once and for all, let's step forward together to see beyond what we see and understand. Let's step forward together to take responsibility faithfully for the world for which Jesus sacrificed. Thanks be to God. Amen.